All right, here with Triston Marez. How you doing, man? You're in Texas. You're playing a show tonight.
Yes, sir.
You're from Houston, right?
From Houston, Southwest.
But you, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you just move to Nashville?
You know what? I actually moved. I dropped out of high school. It's a long story, but I dropped out of high school and moved to Nashville at 18. And I stayed there for about 4 years. And then I met my manager, kind of had some stuff in Texas recorded and I put out. And kind of moved back to Texas for about a year, back to Houston, hit the scene a little bit. And then COVID hit and I moved back. It's kind of a short story, but yeah.
Long story, short story.
Long story, short story, yeah.
How, like, what for a guy like, because to me, you like strike me, you're a Texas artist. You kind of look like a Texas artist. Your music,
sound like one. Music
fits in the Texas space. And then you moved to Nashville to kind of pursue country music. Like, what was kind of the thought process there?
You know, I just wanted to be in a place that, I guess when I first moved, I didn't think of anything but to move to Nashville. That was always been the goal. It's always been the vision. I was working with Roger Kreger's bass player. He has a studio in Houston, and he's the one who kind of led me to Nashville. He goes, man, I think you should just move to Nashville. Don't move to Austin. I think you should just try it out. You're young. You can play the bars at Tootsie's and Rippies and that whole circuit. Learn the way Nashville does it, and meet some songwriters. And that's kind of what I did. That was just really the vision from the start. And I knew who I wanted to be as an artist, and I knew that I wouldn't be geared towards any kind of Nashville way or anything like that. I just wanted to learn the Nashville ways. So
it's interesting. On Instagram, just a few hours ago, I posted this old clip of a couple years ago. It's Cody Jinks. He's like, we said fuck Nashville. We started our own club, and I love how that resonates still. Like, because Nashville's we talk about this a lot because we're not in Nashville, right? I'm in Colorado. Wes is in Chicago. We started Whiskey Riff in the Midwest, and I think we became like jaded almost with like the industry in Nashville and seeing it become so commercialized. It just got super like, I don't even know, the annoying, like just like, okay, like Broadway isn't what Broadway used to be. You hear all the people that are like devastated when they see like an old honky tonk getting torn down for a condo building and stuff.
For sure.
Because I know some Texas artists are always trying to do like this. They want to be national, but they know they're like bread and butter's Texas. Is there a weird thought process of like, how do I kind of play that line of, I want to be known by everybody, of course, you want to play everywhere, but you want to like stay true to your roots in some ways. Right. You definitely sound like a Texas guy to me. And that's a compliment. Like, we love Texas country. I tweeted about it saying,
yeah, I see you guys tweets all the time.
Yeah. It's like, well, my thing was like, I just don't skip songs. Like, I don't know. It's like when I put on a Texas playlist or ours or an album or whatever, I'm like, I'm sure there is, but like nothing's like bad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you agree with that, or kind of the difference in the two?
Texas that I love is just they're artists that love making music, the music they love to make, and the music they believe in. And that's one thing that really stands out to me in the Texas scene is just we're just artists making music because we love music. We're not following a formula. We're not trying to be somebody that we aren't. We're not being told to put this out. We're just writing music that we love. We're recording the way we love to record music, and we're just putting it out. And we're blessed to have people in Texas that love live music, support live music, and so that kind of resonates. You put it out, and they show up to concerts, and that's just what goes on, and it's a blessing to have for sure.
Yeah.
To answer your question, that I grew up being in Houston. Cody Johnson, he's from Huntsville. So I grew up high school. He was still kind of coming up. He was doing the county fairs. He was doing the rodeos. He was doing the dance halls, and he was playing all the time around Houston. And me and my buddies would go catch him in a show. And so I've seen him play from the county fair to the Houston rodeo, 4 years later, 75,000 people. Yeah. So seeing him take the Nashville route in a Texas way was very inspiring. I mean, you look at him, he still says he's country music,
Yeah.
So I think I looked at him as inspiration of, that's kind of the reason why I led to Nashville. It's just, I just wanted to be a part of something, and I chose Nashville, and so, no, I love it. And Cody Johnson's huge inspiration on how he kind of stayed true to himself, but also did the Nashville thing in a way.
He nailed it.
When you got Randall King's on Nashville label now as well. And
you know, you're starting to see a lot of these guys in Texas kind of do that thing, but also they're not selling out. They're just being themselves. I think that maybe it's just the Texas way of just staying true to yourself. And because we've done it so long and, you know, the state, everyone supported us and supported our sound. Maybe that's just what it is. But yeah.
Well, I think labels are waking up too. It's like Parker McCollum, like
Parker, that's another one.
You know, I mean, I'm not just saying this because you're on the podcast, but I listen to your music. I was like, you sound like a superstar. Like you just do. Like, and I really mean that. Like,
thank you.
Well, but I am also a big Cody Johnson fan. I saw Chris Ledoux. You're a big fan. Like those guys, like
Aaron Watson.
Yeah, I love that sound, and you obviously sing really well. There's not as much bells and whistles, but I think that's what's the labels are starting to wake up to the fact that, oh, okay, yeah, people actually want country music, and where's the best place for it is like probably Texas. Like it's not Nashville. Like as far as we had that bro country shit, but I mean
it's like Texas and Kentucky is where all the good stuff's coming out.
Yeah, I mean Kentucky's insane. You know, it's interesting though. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your influences because on your bio you do obviously Cody Johnson, Ledoux, Aaron Watson. Are those kind of the three that you kind of really were like as a kid?
You know,
now like
as a kid, my mom listened to country and that was it, and but my dad, he listened to a lot of rock. And it was classic country and rock, and that was it. But you know, it was a mix of things. And I think when I started, I grew up on 90s country was my, you know, Brooks and Dunn and Chestnut. There you go. That's right. And just all those guys. And then early 2000s, you know. And so I think a whole lot of things inspired me. But when I grew older, you know, 15, 16, I started listening to Randy Rogers, Cody Johnson, Aaron Watson, and those guys really stuck with kind of what I'm portraying now as a sound, and being able to see them live too was something that helped, you know, as well. So
yeah, totally. I mean, but Ronnie Dunn to me is one of my favorite country voices of all time.
Right.
We had him on the podcast. Awesome dude. Just like the coolest guy. Like I look at people like that. I'm like, this guy's just like cool. He's like older guy and he just like gets it. He's cool. I've been obsessed with the song since it came out, Where the Neon Lies. How did you and Ronnie, how did that happen? For Ronnie Dunn, an absolute legend. Like,
I don't know how the hell I'm still running the same damn thing. I ask myself every day. Man, you know what? I showed up to the writing room. I wrote that with Chris Dubois and Lynn Hutton, and I had this idea, and it just felt right. It felt special. Something about it was there, and I came out that writing room and I sent the work tape to my manager, and I never do that. I like to take my time. But I was like, you got to hear the song that we just wrote. They absolutely killed it with this. And so we were still kind of in the process of picking like the last three for the record that we're dropping April 16th. And that was one of the last co-writes we had at the end of the summer, and fell in love with it, recorded the vocals, and Alex Torres, my manager, he was like, man, you know, Ronnie Dunn would sound killer on this. I'm like, oh, yeah, I would. He goes, I'm gonna shoot him an email. I'm like, all right, whatever, just joking, you know. I'm gonna go back and do vocals.
George Strait would sound great on this.
Right, exactly. Like kind of one of those things. I mean, everyone says it in the studio, you know.
Right.
And sure enough, 2 weeks later, he called me like 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock. I got back from I don't know where it was. He goes, what are you doing? I was like, nothing, man. What are you doing? He goes, I'm coming over. I was like, is everything good? Like, what's going on? I got some news for you. I'm like, shit, I thought something.
You're either fired or something great's happening.
I thought I was fired because I've never heard this voice before. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So he shows up with a whiskey bottle. I'm like, all right, things are good. We got a whiskey bottle, so we're good. He showed me an email and it said RD, and I didn't get the point. And it just, no, I love the song. I'll get on it. I'll send me the track and I'll get on it next week. Sure enough, Ronnie Dunn got the song, sent it back to us in 2 weeks, and it was
nailed it too. Yeah.
So
it fits in perfectly.
You haven't met Ronnie yet, technically, then, or
you know what? I have not because of COVID things. But we're planning on meeting after things get settled. So
I mean, he fit perfectly into that song. Like
I thought so too. Man, his voice is so damn good.
It's so unique too. I think I tweeted that when I was having a beer in the garage last week or something. I was like, Ronnie Dunn is just one of my favorite voices, no matter the scenario. Or it just one of the most recognizable country voices of all
Yeah.
time. I think that's not an understatement at all, but that's awesome. Yeah, he's such a cool guy. I mean, I grew up on Brooks and Dunn. It's just like,
Yeah.
Me too.
Boot
You know
Scoot.
what? How
I think you cut out there for
Sorry.
a second. I
Go
think
ahead.
you're
Go
back.
ahead, Tristan.
Go ahead, Tristan. I think you cut out
Sorry.
for a second.
Yeah, we're good.
you don't know with these Zoom meetings, man. There's
No, I
sometimes
know.
weird. You start talking.
No, you're good. You're good.
But Ronnie him and his whole team have been real nice in helping us out and promoting it himself. He posted it on his TikTok, which I'm still kind of getting in the TikTok group. I don't know about that app, man. That's so weird.
We always talk about TikTok on here because it's like you can't avoid it.
You can't, but it's like I want to, but it's like the interaction on there is so damn good sometimes, man. It's just, but you know, he's been real nice and helpful, and I talked to him on the phone. We did an Apple interview, and for like 5 minutes. That was the only time I talked to him. But yeah, it's been nice.
That's awesome, man. Ronnie's such a legend. Literally, I think my favorite voice ever in country music. I could probably say that.
Yeah,
My favorite ever.
Yeah, I mean he's up there. TikTok wise though, it's funny. What's the most annoying part of it? For me, we talked about this with Grady Smith, right? What's the whole like when these like artists trying to get famous on TikTok
Yeah.
that aren't really good, they're not art, like they don't have fans, they don't tour, they just
Never played a live show in
never
their
played a
life.
live, but they like pop off. So then their next 20 fucking TikToks are them lip syncing their own song.
Right.
So that the algorithm can keep pushing it.
Right.
And then they chart on Apple, and then fucking here comes like, I don't know, Sony Nashville. Oh, you want a record deal? What?
And
Ride the wave.
And it's like, come on. Like there's a part of TikTok that's fun. I like there's some just entertaining videos, whether it's outdoor stuff or whatever, but like the part of the music, oh man, it's like, it's almost like I don't want to call it like a cheap way to like make it, but I feel like you don't have to necessarily have a true insane talent all the time on TikTok to blow up. You can have 7 followers and get a video with 2 million views because the song's catchy or funny. And then next thing you know, you're making money on it. It's like,
Yeah.
in 3 years, we're not going to even know who these people are. In a year, like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I'm slow and steady, and I can't get myself to do half the things that get people attention. I can't do it, and I've tried. I've sat in front of. I got myself one of them light circle.
oh, we need to get
those.
those.
My neighbors don't fucking see me do this shit. I turn the light on. I'm in front of the camera. I'm like, no, I can't do it.
I think sitting in your car always works too. You want to sit in the truck and then just like that seems to be where people do it.
See, I've done that a couple times, and I watch it, and I'm like, why the hell did I do that? But sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, again, I force myself sometimes to do it just to see what happens. It gets like 500 views. I'm like, nope, delete. I'm not gonna embarrass myself like that.
I know, it's like they know when we do a lot of like the same like video content that we'll post on like the other socials on there, and TikTok like knows when it's not like if it's like me doing a TikTok, like I'm gonna get more reach than if it's like, oh, here's a video we have that somebody gave us or sent in or whatever. They don't do that. Like they don't like that. So they're trying to force you to do your own stuff, and then it gets super like gimmicky and everybody lip singing. You know who really started? Like Kane Brown started that and it drove me fucking crazy. This lip singing to your own songs. Yeah, I was just like, what is this? Why are people lip singing their own songs?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Just play it.
Just play sit there acoustically and just sound cool. What?
And I think that's a way TikTok can actually be utilized well, is just like get your guitar, sing your song, put it on TikTok. You don't have to be like lip syncing in your car, or you don't need like glow lights and filters and transitions and shit. Like just sing your song and let the music do the work.
We used to fucking spend like, for one TikTok when we started our account, we would spend like, I would tell my wife like,
or TikTok.
We're doing it Friday. I'm like, I'll be home at like 4 or whatever. And it's like, next thing you know, like we're blacked out drunk. It's been 3 hours. It's been 3 hours to get a TikTok of us just stacking a pyramid at Kansas Chattahoochee. You know, it's like, what the hell?
At least you got something out of it. You got a good buzz. You know?
Yeah. I mean, more than that at times, like because it just turns into like, well, we need empty beer cans. The more we drink, the more we have.
We started saving empty beer cans in the office just to like, well, we could probably use these in a TikTok.
Yeah.
And then we were just like, nah, fuck that. We threw them all out.
What's speaking of you playing a show, awesome. You said in Austin, you said, I love Austin. Wes had his bachelor party there. The music scene there, though, how is it right now compared to Nashville? Is it like, I mean, like the bar, like live perform? Because I there was a point where we went, I was like, there's more legit live music in Nashville or in Austin. I almost felt compared to Nashville, because you go down Broadway and everybody's just singing like Sweet Caroline or fucking, you know,
Wagon Wheel.
Wagon Wheel. You're like, what is this? Where I was you go to Austin, you pop in one bar, guys looks like John Mayer. The next guy sounds like Gary Clark Jr. Another guy. You're just like, whoa, this is awesome.
You know, I've never been on 6th Street since I turned 21. I've never been. I've been to Austin a couple times, but I've never been inside the bars and actually been able to enjoy the live music here in Austin. But I've heard it's great. Everybody from Texas that would come to Nashville when I was playing at Tootsie's or whatever, they'd say they're from Austin. I asked them how it was, and they said that they enjoyed Austin a lot more than Nashville. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know if in Austin they play for tips as well, or is it?
I believe so. I think it's the same thing. I think they get a base pay, but probably a lot better than what Tootsie's gave us. God, Tootsie's. Oh my God, I can go on and on about that. Jeez.
Yeah, what is it? What is it like doing the bar band thing? Because I don't think people necessarily know that on Broadway.
It's kind of tough, man. So it's Tootsie's is a whole different thing. I don't know about the other bars. I think the bars that are owned by artists are treated a lot better. But the Tootsie's circuit, like, I hope I don't get whatever. Tootsie's, Rippies, and Honky Tonk. I'm gonna get a call tomorrow from some.
No, I mean, but everybody. We've talked about this with other people, like the whole like payment and like Broadway and like.
It's crazy. So Tootsie's, there's a guy that you have to try out, right? You do this little open mic night thing, and then you have to pay your. They say pay your dues. They call it Honky Tonk School. They have a website and everything for it.
Oh, okay. Well, see, it's public knowledge then.
Yeah, somewhat. So you have to call this guy every day. 5 a.m. sharp. And if you miss one day calling, he won't book you for like 2 weeks. So you call every day at 5 a.m. and he books you. When you first start, it's like 10 to 2, and you get paid $40 for 4 hours, and then you make tips. But no one shows up 10 in the morning at a bar. And
I have been.
They're not going to be tipping because they're sober and hungover from the night before. They don't want to hear music. That's the last thing they want to hear.
Boom,
they're just there because, yeah, exactly.
They need food.
A cheeseburger or something.
But you know what, though? I really had a good time. I can talk bad about it, but it taught me a lot. I played there for 3 years, and they are really good people, but it's tough, you know, so you got to pay your dues to get to that 2 to 6 and 10 to 2 a.m.
Is that the moneymaker, the 10 to 2?
10 to 2.
You get the drunk people that are like $20, man, play Alan Jackson.
Yeah, what's the most you ever made in one night on tips, if you're willing to say?
So I don't remember the exact amount. I'll tell you the story. This guy, we were setting up, the band was just getting started, like we were loading in, and this guy had a bucket in my hand, and that's like the tourist thing. Okay, this guy funky, right? This guy hands over, he goes, $100 bill. He goes, can you play that boat song, The Motorboat? And I'm like, what? Motorboat, $100, first one. I'm like, what is this guy talking about, motorboat? And I was like, what the hell? So then I completely ignored it. He comes back when we first started again with another $100 bill. So this time I pretended to not know what the song was. I figured it out. It was Little Big Town Motorboating, or what's that song called?
Oh,
Pontoon.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. So then he came back with another $100 bill with the name. He goes, Pontoon. I was like, all right, $100. And he forgot about the other 200. $300 Pontoon. This is the funniest thing.
Well, the tourists in Nashville, like, I know we're an example of that. Like when we would go back in the day, you're there to get fucked up and to listen to music. And now there's better restaurants than there used to be, but like, so you start spending money. Like I would spend money, like, I'll tip somebody to play this. Like my wife were drunk, and I'm like, here's $40, play She's Everything by Brad Paisley.
Right.
It's like, what? And then we're in a bar and everybody's just like kind of like drunk and it's just like weird. We got kicked out when this was before Whiskey Riff, I think, or maybe it was at the beginning, but we were single guys. And Wes, were we at Honky Tonk Central?
We were at Honky Tonk Central, yeah, on the third
floor.
floor.
We were like third floor.
Yeah.
Having a good time. A group of ladies at the table were kind of like dancing with us. And we're just, we thought they were just single ladies. We were single guys. And apparently, I don't know what was going on, but we got kicked out. A security guard, I'll let Wes finish this, but like security guards, like we weren't even that drunk. It was like
it was relatively early.
Like 2:00 on Friday. He's like, you guys are having a little bit too much of a good time. You should leave. And we're like, what's going on? They came up to us, and it was like the guys that were trying to talk to them like ratted us out because they like left that group of guys to like.
We were kind of just
found out, but then the end of the story, I'll let Wes finish.
We were kind of just like dicking around on the dance floor, like being goofy, kind of not like creating a scene, but like letting people know we're ready to party. Group of gals come over, they want to dance too. Apparently, all their boyfriends or husbands, whoever the hell they were.
No, like, I don't think it was. I think it was just guys that were mad that they thought we were more fun.
Okay, something obviously. Like that. Anyway, they go to the bouncer, have us kicked out. The guy is Kenny Rogers' nephew who threw us out of the bar.
Oh shit!
So we go to our hotel bar. I forget what hotel we were staying at, and I'm like, we got thrown out of Honky Tonk, and he's like, who's the guy who did it? And we like describe him. He goes, that's Kenny Rogers' nephew.
No shit.
Like, I'm gonna call him and tell him.
Well, what's funny? The guy when he was taking us out, like he was very polite about it. He was almost like, I'm doing you guys a favor because these guys seem just like trouble. So like, just go somewhere else. We don't want anything. So I was like, okay, I appreciate that. Versus like some of the other scenarios where bouncers are like big time assholes. Have you ever had any crazy concert, Broadway, a girl like rips your mic down or anything like that?
God. I mean, I've had, but there's one story. I wasn't 21 when I played. I think I was 19 and all the way to 21 or whatever. And the Tootsie's people would say, hey, go check out these people at 10 o'clock just to learn. And because before I played Tootsie's, I'd never been on stage. I had zero live performance experience at all. And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to play. So it taught me a lot. I loved it. There's a lot of bad, but there's also a lot of good.
Yeah.
So I think maybe 19. And so I showed up at 10. Well, the nights, they never told me to do this, but some nights I would go with a guitar case. I go tell the security guard, hey, blah, 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 told me to come watch the entertainer. He goes, I'm underage. He goes, oh, you're good. But I would, no guitar, just complete alcohol in my guitar case. I had a Jack Daniels bottle and a PBR. And so I bring that because I couldn't buy drinks. So I just go into the bathroom and drink beer. Well, eventually,
that's amazing.
A beer can actually fell out of my guitar case and the security guard found it. And he kicked me out. Like it was maybe 1 o'clock. I had all night. I was from 10 to 1 is what I had up there. And I finally got kicked out. And I was on the Tootsie's probation for 6 months.
That's genius. Oh, what?
Wow.
It's a real thing.
Oh, like 19-year-olds don't drink beer.
Well, you could get drunk in my high school parking lot. They'd kick you out for like 3 days and then you could go back.
Dude, like I don't know where you grew up. Where I grew up, it was like one of these places, like a shithole, but like it was like there was the underage drinking thing was like they'll like arrest your ass.
Really?
Like they'll like it was ridiculous because there's like it's like it was like a weird area where people were like there's not a lot going on. So when they can bust a party, oh yeah, here we go. Like, oh cool. Like, it was just like, come on, guys. Like, like this whole idea of like the 19-year-olds aren't drinking beer. Like, have you been to a college ever?
Right, that's usually a sophomore in college at 19. Jeez.
I think the first time I got drunk, I was 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And I had a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yep. And I think same.
I was off my ass. I just like a Mike's Hard Lemonade. Like just crippled over. Like what? And then like my palate progressed. I think that's the first Mike's Hard Lemonade and the last I ever had.
First and only.
Mike's Hard, man. That's a big hangover for sure.
Oh my God, the sugar, right? Like I mean, I assume it's horrendous to pound those all day. But
My first time drinking, my parents took off for my dad was doing some workout in Oklahoma, and my mom had a vodka bottle in the freezer, and it was all the way full pretty much. So me and my buddies took it and drank it, and I filled it up with water, thinking it looked the same. Yeah,
classic.
like she's not gonna try it.
So we drank a lot of it. I mean, there's maybe this much left, and I filled it up with water and put it in the freezer. And my parents found out, obviously, because
Dude, that's the classic move. I remember that move
because it went from 80 proof to 12 proof.
You would look at the bottle. So like where the liquid hit a certain part of the label, you would know, okay, so if we steal some of this, it goes down to the letter T and whatever.
Yeah.
We got to fill it back up. But then if like a guy that knows his whiskey or whatever pours that and he takes a sip, he's like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Got a bad batch.
it's a watered down. And what's the excuse going to be? Oh, I added a little water to make it so you don't have to add a little water.
Right.
Come on. It's not going to work that way.
And it's like they did it before us, so it's like they know.
Of course.
Well, that's the thing. Now I have a son who's just turned 11 months yesterday, and I'm thinking about all these things as he gets older. Like I know he's going to see me drinking a beer one day and try to like. That was actually the moment when I remember when I was a kid. There's a line in the Eric Church. Is it Sinners Like Me? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he says about like he steals a beer from his grandpa and it's disgusting or whatever. I remember doing that as well when I was a kid. Nobody was looking. I grabbed a beer, took it, like thought I was gonna die. How disgusting I thought it was.
Right.
And then it's like I didn't want to touch it, obviously, until I became like a kid in like whatever high school, whatever. But it's like now it's amazing. And speaking of beer, your song hits a little different. You use a lot of the Coors Banquet.
Yes, that's my
favorite. I keep calling it Coors Banquet. I just moved to Colorado, so everybody's telling me Yellow Belly.
Yellow Bellies.
Yeah.
Banquets or Yellow Bellies, but yeah, that's my favorite kind of beer right there. But it's hard to find in Nashville. They have them everywhere in Texas, but
they do. What's the drinking Lone Star over there?
Yeah, got some Lone Stars here.
Or Shiner. Have y'all had the Shiner holiday cheer like in the wintertime?
Yes.
I haven't. Have I had that, Wes?
No. I don't know, maybe.
That wasn't in the office. It's good.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of like Christmas beers in general. Like I don't know what the hell they do, but there's something that they come out with that seasonal beer
but like you can't drink like 8 of those.
No, you have 1 or 2, and then you switch to Bud Light or Coors Light or Miller Lite.
You get tired of it.
Or Dr. Pepper and bourbon, as Tristan's drinking right now.
What's your hangover? Like you're young, you're 24, right?
Yes.
You probably don't get bad hangovers right now, do you?
Oh my God, I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. 26 is the number for me.
26, yeah. Well, oh man, I didn't start feeling it until 22. Like 22 was when I really like noticed the difference. And then 23 hit, that was bad. But 24, me and my buddies in Nashville, we keep going, and then next one I'm done for the whole day. Like I can't do it unless I start drinking again. That's the only way I get through it.
I know it's the unfortunate reality,
right?
What I explained to my wife, but
it's hard to explain. But just at least one beer takes the edge off, and you're good.
1 beer takes the edge off. 2 makes you feel all right. 3, you feel back to normal. 4, and then it's
pedal to the metal again.
Yeah, we're brunching.
You clear the cobwebs with that. If you have a nice yellow belly when you're hungover and you're starting to feel okay, you pound one of those. You go, okay, I feel better, and it's done. It's kind of fucked up, but like it's the way life works.
Well, it is.
Do you listen to other stuff outside of country music? Because I saw that you tweeted about Post Malone dropping a country album.
I'm so ready for that.
And we blew up the entire world with our April Fool's post yesterday.
Oh, I got a funny story before you. So I walk in and I flew in, and my bass player Michael Mode, he picked me up and he showed me the picture. He goes, "Did you see this lineup?" I'm like, "Dude, you know what date it was yesterday?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "It's a joke, man." He goes, "Oh my God, I thought it was real. I had waited all day to tell you."
The festival.
Yes.
We're still getting a ton of traffic on it, and I'm like, people are just like so excited at the possibility of it. We're serious about it, by the way, but like,
yeah,
people are so.
we're serious about it in the sense that we want to make it happen, but that actual one was an April Fool's joke.
We've always been on this thing about like having a festival that's like 90s related and you can bring your dog. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's like you got to find a massive like landscape, and in Colorado there's plenty of it. And then I just have this vision of like people drinking beer, the dogs running around, people are smoking a joint. Alan Jackson takes the stage, the mountains are behind him. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it's the greatest thing of all time.
That's literally heaven. That's heaven.
So it wasn't so much an April Fool's joke. It was almost serious in a way.
We can't talk about some of the other stuff. We're having like combos with people, but like, yeah, totally. And we wanted to put it out there as a joke, but as a like a no, because we followed up with the tweet. Yeah, like stay tuned. Like we really want to make this happen. And if we put it out there and people are disengaged,
right, the
wheel starts spinning where maybe, you know, maybe a big company gets excited. I don't know. So how the fuck hasn't that happened? I don't know.
I mean, why hasn't it happened? Exactly.
It doesn't need to be a recurring thing either. Like if you want to do one every few years, or like just for fun, like you do it. Yeah, it's hard to book everybody, but
well, a lot of the people were commenting too, like Garth Brooks. I'm like, the only way we could get Garth Brooks on the bill is if he was number one. That's the only way he'd play. He had to do it that way. You know that's true. Like, you know, he wouldn't play it unless
Garth would not play if he was not
a headliner.
Yeah.
Or the one, like the main night, the Saturday night headliner would not play it.
I love that y'all talk about. I've listened to y'all's podcast for a long time, and I love
Thank you.
Bodies, just admit where the bodies are. Like, that's so funny.
It's still a thing, which is absolutely hilarious to me. Like, what I struggle with is there's this weird element, and I to me it's Nashville specific. I don't know if you agree, Wes, but it's like there's like untouchables in the circle of Kumbaya, where I'm like, you can admit that Garth is like very awkward and weird and funny in like a, oh God, like, Dad, what are you doing way on social media.
Yeah.
Like you can say that. Everybody knows it. But there's this weird element of like, you can't say that. And it's like, of course you can. And that's why I thought when Tom Segura, the comedian, just went at that, was just like the most brilliant like thing I've ever seen. Like
I find the Garth stuff to be like the bodies thing and him not knowing what a bottle of beer costs. Like, oh, what does a beer cost? Oh, $27,000. Like, I find that to be the funniest thing on the planet. I watch his Facebook video, the like it's official. Like, I watch that at least like every 2 weeks. Like, it just
well, I guess it's official.
I'm just like watching.
That's funny.
But like, yeah, nobody will really I'm like, is Garth a crazy person or is he the sweetest guy in the world? And everyone's like, right.
I didn't know anything about him. I love his music, huge fan.
Yeah, we love his music too. That's the thing. Not his new music.
You guys seen the Netflix series or the 2 videos about him on Netflix?
No, I actually didn't watch that.
What is this?
I think it's down the road. I don't know, something.
Oh, no. I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's actually really good. And I had no idea about his personal life because he is kind of one of those artists that is kind of to himself a little bit. And I was born in late 90s, so I wasn't around with, I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he really showed who he really is. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. He seems like a really nice guy.
Everybody says he's nice. I absolutely agree. And not that I know, but he's weird.
Did you saw that documentary? Did you watch the Chris Gaines documentary though? That's the real question.
I have not.
It's available on the interwebs, and it's the craziest.
It's insane. It's like, and he's like, it's coming back. He's gonna bring it.
Like,
is it coming back?
I guess. Like he's gonna
finish. He's re-releasing all the music from it.
My favorite moment of Garth. I was watching Trisha's Southern Kitchen on Food Network. She's making some. She nails it. I love Trisha Yearwood, and she's making something. She's like, I'm gonna go take this to Garth. He's outside working. He's not outside working. So she like makes these sandwiches and potato salad, and she drives it to the middle of a field. And there's Garth, with gloves on,
burying
and
the bodies
and a shovel. And he's in the middle of a field and there's nothing going on. He's got a truck in a field and nothing's going on. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing out there? And it's just, and he goes, oh yeah, I'm hungry, lunch. And then he just sits on the tailgate and eats a sandwich and the episode's over. I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? There was nothing about it that was like normal. It's like, he's not out there working. There's not, what were you?
He's digging a hole.
Like, it was just ridiculous. But everybody says he's so nice.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously I assume he's a sweetheart. Obviously he changed country music.
Oh, yeah,
like him, Shania, and Brooks and Dunn to an extent. It's funny to think back then. I'm curious to your opinion on this. Back then, those like Garth, Shania, and Brooks and Dunn and plenty others, they were considered like poppy, like when they came out. And now we look back, we're like, oh, that's country. Like that's country.
Yeah.
It's just like every phase of the timetable of like 2000s, 90s has that. Back in the day, Johnny Cash was considered too much. You know, it was like, it always happens. Do you kind of pay attention to that for your music? I don't want to get too poppy. I don't want to get too this or that. Or
honestly, I make music that I like to make, man. I don't ever think of, you know, is this poppy, is this country? I go in the studio and I'm blessed with the team that I have, the musicians and the session players. They kind of know the direction I want to be in, and we kind of just get together and we make music that we love to make. You know, it's never this is what I'm going for, this is that. We just make music we love to make. You know, I just want to make sure that I'm myself 100% on everything we record, and I think that's where I kind of come in. I never say, all right, I want this to be radio material, I want this to be something they'd play on the radio. It's just, I want this to be something I like to listen to, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Do you record in Nashville or in Texas?
I do. Farmland Studios in Nashville.
Nice.
Okay, I was just curious because I feel like you have such a Texas sound, but like we said before, but
the studio does Shotgun Rider. You remember them?
Yeah. They broke up, right?
What was that?
They broke up, right?
They did, unfortunately. I was very sad about that.
Yeah, no, they were really cool.
Yeah. They were great.
That duo. Yeah, they were really cool.
But do you know Sunday Best?
You know, a lot of people have been messaging me about them. I have not been able to dive into their music yet, though.
It's really fucking good. We used to listen to it back in the day, and then they broke up, and now they're getting back together. Like these two guys from Kentucky, right, Wes?
They're a couple Kentucky boys.
They're really good.
I'll check them out. I've heard a lot about them. Yeah,
they're good. What's your concert-wise, show-wise? What's the craziest thing you've seen from looking out on the fans? We post a lot of videos over the years, which sucks. This last year we haven't had a lot of like crazy concert moments where it's like, actually one of our most viral posts of all time was Cody Johnson almost stomping a guy because he like hit a girl or something in the crowd. So those type of moments are always like, they happen, especially in a bar with a bunch of drunk people. Yeah. Have you had one that like stands out for you as one of the craziest situations fan wise?
Gosh. Well, shoot, it's been a year since we played. I forget all the good I forget all the good ones.
Any bras get thrown on stage, anything like that?
Yeah, well, we had one. I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's really funny.
Everything is appropriate on this podcast.
We have the explicit rating on the podcast on Apple, so it's
perfect. All right, sweet. So we were playing, I believe it was Floors, and this girl, she had a cast on her foot. She's front row, and we were opening up for Randall. Shout out to Randall. He helped us out a ton just getting started. And this girl, front row with the cast on her foot, a boot, hikes her leg up on the stage, takes her underwear off, just yanks it out, skirt, throws it on the stage, right? But it gets connected to my bass player's spinning pegs.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the drummer, right? So I turn around and he turns around too. And that pair of underwear just went right across my eyes as I turned around. I'm like, come on.
Alcohol is a funny thing, man. It makes people.
What was that?
I said alcohol is a funny thing, man. People started.
See, I feel like maybe that's just I don't want to keep bringing this conversation back to like Texas, but like I just feel like Texas crowds are fucking rowdy and fun. Like here's the other thing I will tell you is like content creators, like We can look every Saturday morning when concerts are going on and be like, all right, what happened Friday night? Let's look on YouTube. Let's look on social media. Let's find some cool concert footage. People in Texas, they don't like film shit. They're just enjoying it.
Yeah,
they're partying. They're having a good time. They're throwing beers and shit like at the Larry Joe Taylor Fest. Like,
oh my God. I went one time and that was, I'm ready for them to do it again because that crowd, have you guys ever been there?
No.
Want to though.
You guys have to take a trip. When it opens again, when they do it, y'all have to be there because it's insane. It is a shit show.
It's just a festival, right?
It is. So it's a whole week.
It's a week. Okay.
On Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it starts maybe Monday. I think Monday maybe. All the way to Saturday. And you can camp there. And it's just Texas artists. And I went when Coetzel played, I think with, it was Reed Salzal, Cody West. God, I think it was somebody else. And then Coetzel, and Coetzel just, blew that place up. It was
that guy is one of our favorite people we've ever met.
Awesome.
The ultimate sweetheart, but like an animal. Like we went to a concert of his at Joe's Bar in Chicago, and I remember being like, I'm going to die if I keep drinking with him. And I pride myself on being able to drink a lot, and so does Wes. But that that's a different level he's on.
Yeah, that dude made me tap out. Like, it just had to be like, I'm out.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? Every time we post Post Malone content, everybody's always like, Coetzel, Post Malone, Coetzel, Post Malone. They always like, because there is like that like marriage between the two that I feel like kind of overlaps, and like the feelings and the sad songs that are like heavy
would be great. That combo would be great.
Do you think Post Malone would do that country album? I feel like he's setting it up. Why would he do that the other night? You know what I mean?
I think he's gonna do it. Well, I think he can be successful at it too. I don't know why people wouldn't listen to that.
Yeah, the fucking guy loves 90s country. He loves current country. He's like a student of it, it seems like.
Well, when he played Brad Paisley's I'm Gonna Miss Her the other night, I was trying to explain to my wife, I probably haven't been that giddy in like, I don't even know how long. And I'm just like, he's playing Brad Paisley. Like, how are you not excited? Like, and she's like, I don't know this song.
And Sturgill. I feel like if Post really did country though, it would be country music. Like,
no, that's the point, right?
Like, he wouldn't do any kind of label stuff. It'd just be country music in Post's way. That's it.
Well, that's like, we posted all of it. It went viral on our site and everywhere too. Like, and then like a few days went by, and then I went last weekend. I like, baby goes to sleep.
Yeah.
Smoke a little weed, smoke a lot of weed, have some drinks, and I put it on the TV, the big screen, and I'm like, holy shit, this was amazing. Like, it was even better than I thought it was when I first saw it. And I'm like, this guy is like legit as fuck. And like the story with him, I think, is very interesting. It's like, for a guy of his fame to like move to like Utah, live in the mountains, and then like drink and write, and like there's just like a cool element to like everything he does. Yeah, you just see, and you watch him on the Joe Rogan podcast, you're like, he's just like a total sweetheart.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, come on.
Day, not even feel anything, but like, you wouldn't even think he's famous because he's so cool, so down to earth.
If he releases a country album, I would go as far as to say right now as a prediction, like, is he going to compete with some of the Garth Brooks numbers back in the day?
Probably, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
If Morgan can do it right now, I would think that Post Malone could break what Morgan did, like on the country charts and on the Billboard charts. Like,
I almost feel like Post Malone has too much I think the one thing that might prevent him, he has so much respect for the genre to be like, well, I'm going to come in here and blow it up and break every record, because he probably knows he's going to break some records.
Do you think, though, that if he had Dwight's band backing him and maybe like a Sturgill Simpson producing, he would be like, all right, the respect is like there in a sense? You know what I mean? Like, I went with the right people to make it happen. And if I have their blessing, I have the genre's blessing.
I think so.
Yeah,
maybe.
Simple as that.
I don't know. I was expecting more from you guys on that.
No, I totally think so. There's nothing unlikable about it. You never hear a bad thing about him. And he's legit, and he sings, and he plays instruments, and he respects the legends, and he does everything the right way, and he likes to have a good time and drink a lot, and everything's there, you know.
Have y'all seen his Nirvana covered live stream? Oh man, that was so great too. Like, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, then he like had, it was funny because it was like during COVID, and then he had people in different rooms of his house in Utah or wherever that was, and then camera.
They're like some, I don't know what outfits they're wearing, but it just looked really cool.
And then it was real. I think even Dave Grohl was like, that was respect. Like that was really cool.
It was pretty sick.
Triston, before we let you go, and this has been a great time chatting. You got a new album coming out. Obviously, the Ronnie Dunn song came out today. You released 2 more new songs today, and then you have
last night. Yeah, we did.
Last night, yep.
Today. It's so weird. It's like you go by New York time, which is 12, but it always releases on Thursday night. So
I never know how to write that when I'm typing shit. I'm like,
like, do I say Friday or do I say Thursday at 11? I don't know. So I just been doing Thursday at 11. So whatever. So yeah, we just released 2 new songs, and then the album comes out April 16th. So we're excited.
I was listening to it, which I hate doing. I gotta be honest. Like, I hate listening. We got like sent to us, obviously, like the album. I love to wait until it actually comes out and then fully do it. But I was dabbling before the podcast, kind of quick listen here and there, and I was like, man, this is so legit. Like,
thank you so much.
Amazing. And I definitely get those vibes of your influences, but it's you. It's not like,
yeah.
And that's one thing I try to do is I try to put my influences in there, but also have a little bit of me in it, you know. So I kind of
absolutely. What time is the show tonight?
I have no idea. I have no idea, actually.
So you had a drink now. How does the rest of the day go? It's almost 4 o'clock there, right? So
usually I don't drink this early, but with you guys I will, because I've been wanting to do this podcast for a long time, so I'll share a drink with y'all. But usually I'll drink hey, cheers, y'all. Cheers. I'll do a shot.
Let's get a quick one of these so we can use this for the cover photo. There you go, Wes.
Usually we'll do sound check at like 3 or 4. What time is it right now? Is it 4?
I think it's 4 at you, right?
Almost 4.
Whenever. We'll do sound check whenever, and then usually about an hour before the show, we'll do our prayer. We'll do a shot or 3. Usually it's like 3 shots before we get on it.
A prayer and 3 shots. I love that.
Yeah, so we say a prayer, then our chant we do little 1, 2, 3 is fuck shit up. It's kind of funny. We yell it as loud as we can. So that's our thing right after prayer, and then we take a couple shots, and then the problem is here in Texas, people hand you shots up on stage, and you'll be like 6 deep, 7 deep by 11. So it's pretty tough.
You gotta put a little bass down, eat some potatoes.
Yeah. I feel like there was a point where when we were going to shows, like sometimes twice a week, even every week, but sometimes twice a week, there was a point where I'm like, I just can't do shots. Like, no free shots, none of that shit. Like, you just gotta, like, at some point you get to a certain level where people are gonna hand you shots out. And then you're just like, you guys just gotta say no. Like,
well, then the exception was like we were getting better, more disciplined, and then like you'll get a guy. Amazing story of like, I just came back from Afghanistan. I'm a Marine. I've been paying attention to your Instagram and your website while I was overseas.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
And then
you can't turn that down. Yeah. So
I don't care how deep you are. Barely passed out. You got to take that.
It's just like you have to.
This one might kill me, but I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah. Well, Triston, dude, we're excited for the album.
Thank y'all so much. And hey, thank y'all so much for supporting from, a long time ago. I really do appreciate y'all and reposting and adding to your playlist. And I've been listening to y'all's podcast for a long time. And I'm real excited I got to be on it.
There's plenty more to come, man. You're just getting started. You're a young guy, and we're going to share the shit out of everything you start releasing. So I appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Have a great show tonight, man.
Yep.
Hey, LTT, you guys got to go.
See you, man.
Next year.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You too, man.